Hello friends, today I'm going to tell you about my relationship with the Armenian language. I'd like to share my personal story of how bad first impressions suddenly turned out into a big love, the reason why I started learning Armenian and why this language has a special place in my heart. You know, our life is so unpredictable at times. Many years ago, during the fall of the Soviet Union, a lot of people from the former Soviet republics and from Armenia too have had to leave their homes and move to Russia, especially to Moscow, because they just cannot get job or money in their home countries those days. They were really great and decent people trying their best under such difficult circumstances, but there were rare exceptions, and unfortunately I came across the last. I was only 13 or 14 years old at the time, but I remember quite well how my family and all our neighbors were shocked and horrified by the behavior of the one Armenian family that came to live right next door to us in our apartment building, a 9-story block of flats. The members of that Armenian family, men and women alike, they were very rude and noisy. They would yell and scream all day long through the windows, and when we tried to complain, to reason with them, they would repeatedly insult and humiliate us. Sadly to say, they paid special attention to my small family. I don't know why, maybe because they lived right next door, or maybe because there were only two of us, my grandmother and me, and no one could protect us those days. But the children from that family would play football using my front door as a gate nearly every day, while their mother would insult my grandmother and me, mocking us for being such poor. And their father, he kept repeating that he has so much money and power that he and his family could do everything they want. And not only that, one day that family even broke into my apartment with another young Armenian I've never seen before, and they threatened me. They would force me to marry that person as soon as I turn 18. They said they just wanted my apartment and that's all. Then they added something in Armenian and they all laughed. Maybe it was only a joke, I don't know, but I was only 14 and I was utterly terrified. Calling the police on them was useless, I knew that. And since that moment, I tried not to draw attention to myself. I was really afraid of them. So that family have lived in our neighborhood for 10 long years. It was an awful part of my life, and after that I did my best to keep away from every single Armenian. And when many years later my husband asked me if I wanted to go to Armenia with him, I was not impressed with the idea at all. My bad childhood memories were still so strong and powerful. I didn't want to visit that country and listen to the language again. But my husband insisted, telling me that he had visited Armenia several times already and he wanted me to meet the real Armenians, to see everything with my own eyes and to change my opinion, to heal. And he was right, absolutely. When I went to Armenia in 2012 for a short business trip, I met really great people there, completely different from those my terrible neighbors. The magic has already started on the plane, where an old Armenian lady sitting right next to me suddenly started telling us stories about her family, about her country, history, culture. It was so unexpected and so sweet. She even gave us a recipe for green walnut jam and invited us to her house. We talked almost non-stop during the entire flight, and when we landed in Yerevan, the capital city of Armenia, the magic continued. I was really amazed by the kindness and hospitality of Armenian people, their openness, and also their close family relationships, strong bonds between family members, parents, grandparents, children, all. I was also astonished to see how people there were always ready to step forward and help anyone in trouble. One day we were sitting in a cafe. It was a really hot day, and when one of our friends realized that she was just going to faint and called for help, suddenly an amazing thing happened. Many people who were on the street at the moment, they all immediately ran up to us and offered their help, calling an ambulance, bringing some cold water, etc., etc. It was beyond words. I've never seen anything like this before in my country, such sincere desire to help others, no matter who they are, where are they from. And I think that is how it should be everywhere, in every country. So it was a short business trip, but almost immediately I fell in love with the country and the people who live there. And I've also had a great opportunity to visit some truly unique places in Armenia. First of all, Nagorno-Karabakh, which literally means mountainous Karabakh. The nature there was so beautiful, unbelievably beautiful. Large green valleys surrounded by numerous mountains covered with woods, rapid mountain rivers with pure and very cold water, and the black night sky with the brightest Milky Way I've ever seen. And also the Gandzesar Monastery, the masterpiece of Armenian architecture and a truly holy place. When I went into the Gandzesar church, I felt that unforgettable sensation of peace and calm, and also a strong connection to that country and people. It was an amazing feeling, magical and so powerful, unforgettable. I've also visited the eastern part of Armenia and the Sevan Monastery, the great complex located at the shore of Lake Sevan, the blue eye of Armenia. Then there was Yerevan, the capital city of Armenia, with its beautiful buildings, great sculptures, restaurants, and the singing fountains at the Republic Square. And as you might have already guessed, by the end of our journey, I was absolutely fascinated by the Armenian language, the way it sounds, its unique melody, and especially the beauty of letters, the Armenian writing system. I think my first word that I learned in Armenian was pah pahak, an ice cream. I've also downloaded some songs and listened to them again and again during the entire trip. I didn't understand a single word, but I couldn't have been happier. So my husband was absolutely right, telling me that unfortunately I happened to meet a very strange Armenian family in my childhood. But it was only one family, and of course we shouldn't be afraid of. We shouldn't judge a whole group of people based off one person or one strange family we met. And I was so grateful for the opportunity to visit that country, that land, those people. They actually healed me, and I returned to my home country a completely different person. And from then on, I started to get more and more interested in Armenian history, culture, cuisine, and the language, of course. Some time ago, I started learning Armenian. So far, it's definitely the most difficult language for me to learn, but I really enjoy learning it. I'm learning at least a little bit every day, slowly but surely. Most of all, I want to be able to read books in Armenian and to learn more about that country and history, especially ancient history. I also hope to visit Armenia again someday. I'd love to visit the Matenadaran, a unique institute of ancient manuscripts, and also to visit many other interesting places. Some people say there is only one step from hate to love, and I really felt that with the Armenian language. It was astonishing for me to realize how quickly Armenian became one of my favorite languages, and it now has a very special place in my heart. So that's my story. Sorry it's a bit long, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Have you ever fallen in love with a language you once disliked? And what made you change your mind about that language or languages? Please leave a comment below and let's talk about that. I would really love to hear your story. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!